Hey, Nickie Brown here. No matter where you are and what part of the world you are in, I hope that you are having an amazing day. It's Friday. Uh, it is Friday, September 23rd. Yes. And I woke up uh, with that Brandy song on my mind. I'm just trying to be me, doing what I gotta do. Some people think that I'm sitting on top of the world. Right onto Virginia Avenue. And so I listened to it. I hadn't listened to that song in years. I mean years. And as I was thinking about it, as I was getting ready, I was thinking the only difference between me, you, Brandy, Ray J, uh, um, Michael Jackson, Oprah Winfrey. Well, maybe not Michael Jackson because his father pushed him, but let's say Joe Jackson. Is that hunger and that drive to keep going no matter what. And then if one thing doesn't work, to try something else, right? And let's say, for example, if you have a business, trying something else can mean trying something else within the same business, or trying something else could mean trying a completely different type of business. So let's say, for example, you start out selling a product. You may go from selling a product to offering a service, or you may offer a product and a service. You may market it a little different. But no matter what, you just keep going. You find those words that inspire you. You find those people who inspire you. Who are your top 5? Who are you listening to on a regular basis? Who do you call your friend, even if it's somebody who's on YouTube, right? Or TikTok. But it's someone who inspires you. I'll tell you, one of the people who inspires me, and not, all inclusive, but I am motivated by her. And her name is Maya Galore, Mayagalore. I mean, when I tell you I've watched her do the thing, manifest the thing, she's manifested, right? She moved from Indiana to Atlanta, bought a bigger house, ended up getting engaged, and she one of the reasons I admire her is because she takes herself out on solo dates. And it's funny because I used to do that when I was younger, but it's like life happens, and people may say certain things, and you start to doubt certain things that you do or say, or you just decide maybe that wasn't a good idea, or maybe that's not a good idea, and you kind of lose sight of certain things, like I said, that you used to do for yourself, and you start doing things different. And then when you go back and look, like, yeah, I used to take myself out. What happened? Now, I may not have called it a solo date. I'm just, I might say I'm going to go out to lunch, or treat myself to lunch, or dinner, or a movie, right? Or I'm just going to go shopping and, enjoy the day. And not that it's about shopping, not that it's even about spending money, because that thing that you decide to do could be going for walks in the park. It could be going to a stream or a lake and just watching the water, as it flows. Because that's what life should be about. It should be about flow, right? And that anything or anyone that causes a blockage in something that you really want to do is meant to teach you a lesson. I've said this a lot over the years. There are people who come into your life for a season or a reason, and we try to turn those people into lifetime people. And I remember somebody else said, this was kind of recently, within the past few months or year or whatever, oh, sometimes people try to turn lifetime people into seasonal people. I don't really see that happen as much. That does happen though, right? But I see more people dealing with toxic relationships than I do seeing them reject people who should be there. Like, because usually if somebody rejects a person, now it could be for a superficial reason, don't get me wrong, but with certain people, they reject someone because they don't see this person as who they should be with. There may be just something about this person, and it's like, no, this isn't going to work for me. I'll accept you as a friend because as a friend, I don't really care what you do one way or the other, right? Not, and not to say that they can just be around you doing whatever they want to do. That's not what I'm saying. But what I'm saying is, like, say you have a friend, right? Let's say you have a man or woman who's interested in you, and you don't drink, but this person drinks every day. And in their mind, there's nothing wrong with having a glass of wine or a beer every day. Whereas for you, that's just not something that you want to deal with. Doesn't make them a bad person, right? But again, you would rather have someone who also does not drink. And that's just what it is. And you have a right to have that preference. And you may not say that to that person because they would probably feel some kind of, oh yeah, well, I only have one. And they'll get upset with you because that's your preference, as if you don't have a right to have that preference. But you do have a right to have that preference, right? You don't have to accept someone or be with someone if you feel like they're not lining up with your lifestyle. Let's say, for example, you're a vegetarian, a pescatarian, and that person eats pork, and and you're like, say you're a woman and you just can't see yourself preparing pork in your pots. Even if you're a man, you just can't see yourself allowing pork to be cooked in your home. Now, maybe you make some compromise and say, okay, well, if we go out to a restaurant, you can have pork, but you can't cook pork in the house. But you can't necessarily stop someone from doing that, right? Let's say you're not home. They might fry them up some bacon and then spray some spray thinking that you're not going to smell it. Not realizing that oil and the grease absorbs into the flesh of the pan or into the pores of the pan. So it's not even about just the smell. There's more to it than that. Right? So, again, it's okay if you choose someone who lines up with your lifestyle, and decide not to choose someone who doesn't, whether you're a male or female. I think that some people think that if you're a woman, you have to be in a relationship, or if you're not in a relationship, that means you're less than. And I don't think so. I think it actually takes courage and confidence, right? People say, oh, you make it look easy, or they'll see someone and they say, oh, that person makes it look easy. Just because somebody makes it look easy does not mean that it's easy, right? But some people may make it look easy, and because they've been doing it for so long and they've had that determination and that confidence, it is easy for them at this point. But maybe initially it didn't start out that way. There are single people who enjoy their life. Like I said, even take themselves out on dates, which again, there's nothing wrong with that. It's just someone, again, enjoying their life. It's okay to enjoy your life, whether you have a partner or not, whether you have more than one partner or not. There's more to life than just being intimate with somebody. Because for some people, that's, they don't go anywhere, they don't do anything, just that person is just there. They're not enhancing each other's lives. They're not helping one another grow. They're not, it's not iron sharpening iron. It's just, we here, and don't get me wrong, because I'm not knocking anybody. If you just want to go to work, pay bills, come home, eat fast food, and, drink, smoke, that's fine. But if you have any type of ambition to do anything else and your partner does not, that's probably not the right partner for you. And it's okay to admit that. It doesn't mean that you're a failure. Just like I said in the beginning, if you have a business and that particular business does not work out, you either re-strategize, or you start a different type of business. You don't necessarily have to be married to that business or to that idea, but you can be if you want to. Because again, let's say the business was doing very well, and then all of a sudden, maybe because of the pandemic or something like that happened, and people started to fall off, right? Rebuild, restart again, structure it and have it a different way. Maybe you're not, you know maybe if you were making the stuff at home, maybe you find a manufacturing company. See how much it's going to cost for you to do that. Even if you start small, even if you do at first have to make the stuff yourself and send it to the manufacturing company. See if you can market your product or service in a different way. Excuse me. Potentially, you could be a consultant for someone else. Maybe you've inspired other people and they say, oh, I remember when you were doing so and so and such and such. I want to know about this, that, and other. And so you then become a consultant. So now you're providing a service, right? Another person who inspires me, why can't I think of her name right now? Oh my goodness. Wow. Anyway, I want to say she's from New York. And she's a millionaire. Why can't I think of... I get her text messages. I don't know why I can't think of her name right now. But anyway, she started by selling the Total Life Changers tea. She now has a lip gloss line. I think she has shapewear or like workout wear. She's really good friends with the Cardones. And why can't I think of her name? Stormy Wellington. STORMY Wellington. WELLINGTON. Stormy Wellington. Again, who's your top 5? Even if you don't know the person, if you manifest on it, you could potentially meet that person. Because if your top 5 again has no ambition and drive, and you have ambition and drive, or you at least want to head in that direction, you have to change the people that you hang around or the people that you listen to. Even if you can't immediately change the people that you're around, you can pick your top 5 people who inspire you in the internet. What are those people doing? And you don't have to copy what they do. I think that that's a common misconception, that in order for me to be successful, I have to do exactly what this other person is doing. No, you just have to be yourself. You have to do what you do. You have to do what you're good at. And if you don't know what you're good at, you have to figure that out. And if there was something that you did as a child that you were good at, that you just stopped doing because of some fears and insecurities that were planted in your mind, you need to go back to that place. You need to go back to your childhood. I often say I feel as if I'm becoming the person I was as a child before anything tragic ever happened, right? And so I'm a genuinely joyous person. Some people think that it's fake. It's because they have not found their own inner joy. They're not doing what they love. They're just on the hamster wheel doing what they think that they're supposed to do, which may not necessarily be what they're actually doing. And even if you have to do what you now don't want to do in the meantime, it should just be seen as a stepping stone. Just like if someone, needed food stamps or welfare. Well, they call it TANF in certain states. I don't know if they call it TANF in New Jersey, but I know back in the day we just called it welfare, right? Even if you need to get a welfare check or food stamps or Section 8 or whatever that is, okay, it's a means to an end. It's a stepping stone. It's not meant for you to just get it and stay on it forever, right? Use it to get to your next step and level up. What's that Sierra song? Level up, level up, level up, level up, level up. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Let's go. Level up, level up, level up, level up, level up. Right? You're not supposed to use it again to take advantage of it and manipulate the system. That's not what it's in place for. And I never saw it that way, right? I've always seen it as a stepping stone. You know, first of all, you have to tell them your whole life story when you use the bathroom and everything. Why do you want people in your life like that? I guess maybe for me, I'm a very private person. I don't necessarily want people all in my bed, although, you know, the government can find out what they want to find out anyway, but it just seems so invasive. And so as soon as, you know, I was in a position to do better, I did better. Again, I use those things, those tools as a stepping stone, because I did, you know, when I was, you know, kind of fresh out of high school, I guess, I did get a welfare check, and I was like, $322. It was $322. I was like, well, what are you supposed to do with that? And I couldn't believe at that point I had that mindset that it was okay to even be on that type of assistance. But I quickly learned, nah, this ain't it. And then, you know, there were people having more kids so they could get more money. No, I didn't. This is not me knocking anybody. But for me, that didn't make sense, because all you got was another $100. I think it was like $424. To me, in my mind, that still was not enough. Again, it's helpful. You know, I can buy, you know, what I need to buy. But that's it. I can't treat myself to certain things. I can't get my hair done or my nails done, or, you know, some of those other things that I would want to do. So, again, for me, I was like, okay, we have to quickly move on. And my first job was McDonald's. So it's not like, you know, it was an extravagant job, but I learned a lot. You know what I learned? I learned the customer service. Because back in the day when I worked at McDonald's, and I haven't been to a McDonald's in years, except for maybe for someone else or with someone else. But, you know, when the McDonald's that I worked for, you had to say, welcome to McDonald's, may I take your order, or may I help you, please? You go into certain stores today, they just look at you like, you know, they don't say hello. Some of them might say what you want. Depending on where you are, like there's really no customer service in certain places anymore. Or they'll ring your stuff up. Let's say it's another type of retail store. They'll ring your stuff up, and then they'll just stand there and look at you. They don't say hello. They don't tell you the total or anything. But if you're a different race, I see them. I've been to places where people of a different race, they will give them the biggest smile and greet them and say hello. And as soon as they see my face, they don't open their mouth. How does that work? I'm the customer here spending my money too. So you can't speak to me because I'm not the right color? Wow. Is that what we're doing? I'm really big on customer service. You know, even in my business, I remember offering a young lady a coupon, and I said, well, reach out to me when you're ready for the coupon. And that didn't happen. But I did my best to do my part. You know, I did keep my word. I created the coupon for her, but I can't make somebody reach out to me, you know, as a result. And maybe, you know, as far as good customer service, maybe I should have just sent her the coupon so she could use it when she was ready. That's what I mean by re-strategizing certain things. You know, there's a such thing as a sales funnel. Sometimes we have to hire someone to build a sales funnel for us, or we have to build our own sales funnel and draw people back in with things like coupons. But there are certain businesses, especially small businesses, you'll offer a coupon and people won't use it because some of those same people would rather pay just full price. It's funny like that. Because in some people's mind, paying more means it's better. It could be the same product or service, but it has more value if a person charges more. And that's another thing. How are we looking at ourselves? Do we value ourselves to know how much we should charge for the product or service that we offer? I know that I was not charging enough. You had some people that said it was too much because they had that poverty mindset, right? But then you had some people that, again, they would rather pay $20 for a bar of soap because then it's considered exclusive. And that person with that poverty mindset is not going to even attempt to buy it. Then you have some in the middle, like, okay, again, perceived value. They might be willing to pay $15, whereas the product may cost $10 or $12. But they would be willing to pay $15 because of perceived value. That same, say, bar of soap is the example that I just used, right? And they may just use it as a face soap instead of as a body soap. But really, I was selling my soap for $5, right? And again, for some people, for one bar of soap, that is a lot. But I remember when I first started using all natural products, that is about how much a bar of soap costs. Especially now, like, and some of the prices, so when they first started out, or not first started out, but when certain things first became more popular, let's say Dr. Bronner's. A bar of Dr. Bronner's soap, if I'm not mistaken, was at least $6.99. I don't know how much it is now because I haven't bought soap in years because, I make it. So it doesn't really make sense for me to buy it. But say I recall a bar of Dr. Bronner's being about $6.99 or so. And I can't even imagine. Maybe now it's about $8.99 for a bar of soap. Depending on where you get it from. But then I know that at a certain point it went up and then dropped down. But now during these times when, inflation, it probably went back up. And I could probably go online and price a bar. But, again, it really all depends on where you get it from. If you get it from like a Walgreens or CVS, it might cost that $8.99. If you get it from Whole Foods, it might be $7.99, between $7.99 and $9.99. I don't know. But I made a smaller bar, but I did my best to kind of compromise to make it affordable for people. But as an entrepreneur, you may not necessarily be able to do that. You may not be able to market to people that you feel like can afford what the product or service that you have to offer. You may have to go for that mid-range customer or that higher end customer that is going to see it as an exclusive product or service. And again, it's perceived value. The same Coach did the same thing. Coach started out, if I'm not mistaken, by making saddles for horses, right? And then they started making the leather bags. The leather bags started out very inexpensive. When Coach went up on their price for the same exact bag, then they became an exclusive company, and then people started to buy more of the bags. But when the bags were less expensive, they didn't have as many customers. Again, it's perceived value. So what do you perceive your value as? And I've said this several times, right? You don't have to be a talk show host like an Oprah Winfrey, right? Maybe your value is to crochet. Maybe you could crochet the heck out of some hats and start to sell them, right? And because they're handmade, you charge what you perceive your value is. So yes, they may be able to go to Old Navy and get a hat for $5, right? But because you've taken your time to knit and or crochet this hat with your hands and create unique designs that they cannot buy from the store and wear exactly like everyone else, maybe your crocheted hats are $25, and that is okay. Maybe you cook, right? And whatever your plate of food, and maybe you're the best at frying fish, right? So you open up a restaurant or start selling fish sandwiches or fish dinners or both, right? And you find some local businesses to sell those dinners to. You create a flyer. It could just be a plain black and white flyer. It does not have to be fancy. You can start where you are, right? That's how what's her name? Paula Deen. That's how Paula Deen started out. Her and her son started out by selling sandwiches. They found some businesses to sell their sandwiches to, and she became Paula Deen, right? And I know she had her rise and fall, but that's neither here nor there, because I think she still has an internet TV show, so people still watch her, right? And donate to her and buy, whatever product or service that she offers. And I know that Target took her stuff out of the stores, but again, that's neither here nor there. She's still doing something, right? Again, she re-strategized and just did it a different way. And maybe she's not as popular, maybe she's not as famous, but she's still a household name for some people, right? Anyway, again, if you make the best fish sandwiches, start making fish sandwiches and find people to sell those sandwiches to. Even if you set up a tent on the weekends at a flea market, whatever that looks like. And the next thing you know, you may have a restaurant. You may have your own YouTube channel. However you can decide to grow. If you bake, you might be good at baking, I don't know, apple pie, sweet potato pie, lemon pound cake, right? People don't like to bake. One of my other friends, she was good at baking, so what she did was go to like the local corner stores. And this is in New Jersey, so some states don't have corner stores, right? But you might be able to find a smaller store or even a larger store, like say Publix or Kroger. You would just have to meet with their marketing team, right? And say, this is the pound cake that I said. Now, if you go there, you're going to have to produce. So don't go there if you're not ready. Or you could take a leap of faith and, but they might want, 1,000,000 pieces and give you a certain time frame. Are you going to be able to produce that within the time frame? Do you have the resources? But anyway, you can probably go to a local mom and pop shop or these local, a local restaurant and say, hey, I make pound cake. Especially if you make something vegan, because a lot of stores are starting to offer vegan products, right? So you go and say, hey, I make this vegan lemon pound cake. And I can make 20 units, whatever. And it could be consignment. It can be where they buy it from you up front, full. Or it could be like a consignment type of thing where when they sell a piece of cake, then you get paid. You can bring them a whole entire cake, or you can slice the cake up. You can bake the cake and tell them they can, maybe bake 2 of them and say put 1 in the freezer and see how it sells. But there's a way to do a lot of different things. Because again, just because that one way that you tried didn't work out, does not necessarily mean that you have to give up. You may just need to re-strategize. Again, who inspires you? Who are the people you are around? Are they saying, oh, well, at least you tried? That's not somebody who's inspiring you. That's someone who is discouraging you. And that may not be their intention, right? They may have all the best intentions in the world. But if this person never tried to start a business for themselves, they don't understand what that's like. And all they know is to soften the blow, or what they would want someone to do for them, right? And then you have people who see it as a competition. It's not a competition. It's really not. There's more than enough for everyone. So if I have 1 million customers and you have 1 million customers and they have 1 million customers, there are billions of people in the world. Some of those customers may overlap, some of them may not. But it's not about competing with one another. If anything, it's about inspiring one another to be your best self. Again, to do what you are good at. Let's say you're good at shining shoes. There was a guy, and he has since transitioned, right? But he was like born and raised in Georgia, and he started out shining shoes. And there was a guy who told him he wasn't good at shining shoes and that he would never be anything because he tried to get a loan from a bank. So the bank owner, or manager rather, tried to discourage him. So he went home and he re-strategized. He just did it on his own. Yes, he had to start smaller, but he still did it. He went on to become a multi-million-dollar contractor, or construction contractor in the city of Atlanta. So a lot of the buildings that you see in Atlanta, and some of the homes that you see in Atlanta that have now been in existence for decades, his construction company actually built. Now just think, if he had listened to someone who said, no, you can't shine shoes, and he just gave up, he wouldn't have become what he became. And he was, if I'm not mistaken, he was friends with Martin Luther King. So this is that era, right? Again, before Atlanta really became Atlanta, when it was still just trees. Because when I was a little girl, that's pretty much what it was. There was still a lot of trees. I don't remember them having the downtown that they have now, but I could be mistaken. But I remember visiting as a little girl, and my perception of it was that it was country. So there was still a lot of trees. And although we didn't stay in the city of Atlanta for a long time, we went to Albany as well, because that's where my relatives are from. Again, my perception was country, coming from the city. And this is not me knocking or downing or anything like that. I'm telling you as a child what my perception was, because people tend to take things out of context. Just like if you say that someone is older, they think that you're calling someone old. No, older means in comparison to this person's age is above another person. Just like, someone who's, let's say I was 18 and someone else was 19. That 19-year-old is older than I am. That's not me calling that person old. And for some people, some people don't comprehend that. So when you say something about a place or a person, even if you're not being negative, you could be actually stating a fact. Some people take offense to it as if you're talking about that person, because they don't understand the difference. So I just wanted to clarify that. That's not me knocking, the city of Atlanta. That is me saying, again, what I perceived to be true at that age and at that point in time. And that's just a fact. And anyway, again, he didn't give up. That was my point in sharing that story. And so even if someone, because I know someone who, had a grandparent that said, oh, you just need to get a job. And a lot of people have that, where their parents or grandparents, they say, oh, you just need to get a job. What they may not have told you is that maybe at a certain point they tried to start a business, or they had that same ambition and someone discouraged them. And so their fears and insecurities, or their doubts, right, made them project that onto you, although their intentions may have been good, because they may have seen it as protecting you. And again, there's nothing wrong with that, right? But if you have one person that has ambition and someone discourages them, that can easily make that person want to avoid doing this thing. And so it's like, oh, well, so-and-so is not supporting that, so I'm just not going to do it. But I don't, I think that that's unfortunate, because a lot of people's dreams were deferred. What was that? That poem by Langston Hughes, A Dream Deferred. Because of one thing that somebody told you. I remember my guidance counselor, and some relatives saying, oh, that acting wasn't a realistic career goal. I wish I had known then what I know now. But at the same time, I feel like it wasn't meant for me to realize that, because of things that I now know. So that ended up actually being a good thing in hindsight. But yeah. But anyway, I am about to go to Panera Bread, if I can find it. And 1,000 feet, use the right lane to take the US 19 north towards. So I'm gonna get off of here, 600 feet, use the left lane, because I don't know where I'm going. Use the left lane to turn left onto North Point Park. And first I'm gonna get a peppermint mocha from Starbucks with coconut milk. Haven't had one of those in a long time. And every now and then I get in the mood for stuff like that. So that's what we have going on today. But it was great talking to y'all, and I hope that I inspired someone on today to want to be their best selves, and again, to re-strategize if that's what you need to do. And as always, forever and always, I love y'all. Later. Mwah.